And welcome to another garden vlog. Let's take a comparison, a look at red hybrid jaboticabas 1-year seedlings versus 1-year seedlings of the Sabara. Now, both kind of go through all size ranges, but let's look at the biggest Sabara and the biggest red hybrid. Alright, so this guy's planted in a slightly larger or smaller pot, maybe 1.5 or 2 gallon, and this guy I think is in a 3-gallon pot. This is the red hybrid, probably 12 inches or so tall. And this is the Sabara, the biggest one we have. These were planted from seeds the same day, I believe, about a year ago. And it may be about 6 inches tall. So if we put the pot size about the same, you can see that there's way more horizontal and vertical growth, on the red hybrids. I know that the local nursery sells the Sabara about this tall for like $25, which I'm guessing it will be around 2 years, a 2-year-old seedling, 1.5 years, or maybe they just add some fertilizer or something to speed up the growth a little bit. And maybe just from transferring them to individual pots, it'll help, with the growth as well. But I don't know. First time growing them, seeds are very expensive. I think Sabaras have had about a 70% germination rate. The Sabaras take much longer to mature, but they're more cold hardy. But like 10 plus years, 8, 10, 14 years or so for the Sabaras to come into fruit versus 2 to 5 years or so for the red hybrids. And and I don't know if it's because of the growth rate and at a certain size that they fruit, but Sabaras are way behind on their growth rates. Same exact soil, no extra fertilizer, no nothing. These were all, like I said, planted at the same time. And sometimes we had a little runt here. That's a red hybrid there that I just put in the side there. I don't know why. But a lot of our Sabaras are about that size at a year old. With that said, we got way more red hybrids that are larger than the Sabaras. And I was originally sort of wanting to put all the Sabaras in at least 1 gallon pots, but some of them were just so small and kind of fragile that I decided to put a lot of them in the smaller ones just to make sure they survive. And I'll probably repot them in a few months if they make it. Maybe in the spring or something, just put them in one. And if any of the 1 gallon ones get any significant growth, maybe go to a 3. And you can look here at our other red hybrids. At least half of them have major growth over the Sabaras. A few of them are still kind of little tiny like the Sabaras, but probably 60% or more have major growth over them. So you may or may not have known. Most of you guys probably don't know because I only mentioned it once or twice since this garden vlog started, but I tried to get into a nursery business a long time ago for palm trees. We had some rare palms like the Wagnersdorf windmill palm, supposedly maybe from Japan or China or somewhere, that's completely extinct in the wild, but they do have, plants in the nursery business. We had, all kinds of bulk ordering of seeds and everything like that. We tried to do our own seedlings of like the Pindo or jelly palms and all kinds of fan palms, windmill palms, European fan palms, California, Washington, Chinese, and a few others. We even tried a few of the more cold tender ones, and they didn't really make it. They didn't do very well. But I definitely am considering getting a nursery license again. And obviously herbs, fruits, vegetables maybe, chop and drop crops. But it's going to be dependent on, how successful I am with propagation and grafting and stuff like that. I'm not going to be hiring, grafters to come in and do anything. And it's probably going to never be like an open, invite for people to come in. It'd be like certain days or whatever, or by appointment, or maybe going to farmers markets or something like that. And, we already starting to kind of sell fruits like oranges and other citrus anyway, grapefruits, sambokins. So it would be a pretty good thing to mix and match, plants, trees, perennials with fruits. Don't get your hopes up. Probably not going to happen anytime soon. Even if it does happen, we have to build our knowledge. We have to, figure out everything, how we're going to do stuff. For right now, this season and next season, it's still on the way, I'm planning it, to give back to the garden community, and, when you get so far, you probably think that you're done learning, you're done for a while. Then somebody else will come along and inspire you. Somebody else's farming techniques, permaculture techniques. Somebody has, a new cultivar or something that's maybe more disease resistant or bigger, less seeds, tastes better, all that stuff. The gardening world it's ever evolving. Sometimes because somebody finds a chance seedling out in the wild, but many cases also through breeding of plants, crossing plants. I think the natural evolution for us, if we decide to go to, into nursery, licensed nursery in the state of Florida, and even if we don't, is to learn better grafting techniques, become more successful. Avocados, mulberries, and other things. We would never attempt to even get into citrus because I'm sure it's multi-million-dollar, set up to be sterile and disease-free and certified. And the citrus industry is pretty much dying in Florida anyway. And you can't easily, I'm assuming, ship to any other citrus producing state because of those diseases. I think loquats are definitely something I would like to be more successful at in grafting and attempting to try multiple varieties in this environment. And persimmons. There are a lot of rare persimmons that nobody or not many people around here have heard about that I would like to try. That doesn't mean that there are clear winners over what's already established and what people already have, like the Seijo or Saijo, and like the giant Fuyu and Gyro and, Tananashi's everywhere, even though it's not really considered that great. But there are probably 10 or 15 varieties of that Fuyu type that are sold at local nurseries. But there are still hundreds, if not thousands, of commercial cultivars, all around the world. I'm not even anywhere near planning that, but I got that running through my head right now. Next week I might have an idea that's never going to happen. This is why I say, give these cardboard and wood burns 2 to 3 days. You see, there's a little bit of a smoldering going on still after day 2. It looked like it was completely out last night. Wind and all can just restoke those flames. So you really want maybe to collect that ash at like day 3. So if it rains on day 2 or day 3 and you lose all of it, you lose most of the nutrients. So it is the next day, and this is the reason I say give it at least 2 to 3 days. You can see there's a little bit of flame there. It seems like in the mornings they seem to like spark up again, flame up. then, you know, the wind can just push a little bit more oxygen in there and stoke the fire. I'm kind of thinking we need to take another cutting or two from this Illinois everbearing plant, you know, mulberry that we have in this container. You know, it's got some that are kind of drooping low. We could cut one or two and do a small branch to try to root. This is just, you know, we got the dwarf everbearing black, which are supposed to be easier to root. That's probably going to be the most in demand mulberry we have so far, that we have enough stuff to take cuttings from. But the Illinois everbearing is probably going to be number 2. I think the nematode resistance and stuff makes it a good candidate to plant out. It makes it a good candidate, I guess, as rootstock as well. So I think when we go to this banana circle, we're going to put maybe a border around this guy to try to limit, you know, maybe how much of the soil gets eroded from rainstorms and stuff like that. You know, here's a piece of pine that's nice and, I guess, pliable. Not all of it's going to be that way, but we might just put some harder, small logs around the bottom there. And as they kind of mulch down, they'll probably feed the roots as well. All right, so that's kind of an idea of how we're going to do it. And we just pulled these old pine logs by hand, you know, ripped them. And we're going to put more later. Probably just don't have time now. And, you know, if we cover it all, that probably means we're not going to plant it out with anything. But it's, you know, fall, getting close to winter. Can't really put sweet potatoes in right now. We could, but we really don't want to steal the nutrients and stuff from this newly planted banana that's fixing to go through cold weather. But the purpose of planting it out, if we did do that or decide later to do it, is also the same, to prevent soil erosion, to keep the soil from like rain just, you know, shooting it down the yard and into the swamp. And in an earlier video I talked about, you know, some people plant it out. It's like a 50-50 split, you know. They say, you know, yeah, this helps for whatever reason, you know, keep weed preventative, keeps it moist, and all that good stuff. But the other half of people that do the banana circle say don't plant it out, because that banana needs all the nutrients from this circle, from this pit. Probably no matter where I go in my various yards, lots, properties, there's something nearby to chop and drop. You know, if I got some weeds, old rotten fruit or whatever, and just, you know, now I got a pit here for this banana circle. I've got raised, you know, age alternative wood beds everywhere. I have my original sort of hugelkultur / raised bed hybrid that I can throw sticks and, you know, leaves or whatever in. I have tons of plants and trees, you know, like this sugar bell here that I can throw the goldenrods and the Biden's alba and the creeping daisies, you know, and grass, ferns or whatever, and just put around the base of it to mulch it, to retain moisture, to provide nutrients. And, you know, over time, we're going to have more beds. We're going to have more plants, more trees, shrubs, annual gardens, or whatever. Are we going to hit a point of equilibrium, or are we going to surpass it and sort of go the opposite direction, you know? Right now, we are bringing in some materials from the outside world, fertilizers, potting soil. Sometimes when somebody's cleaning up the yard or whatever, logs and, you know, leaves and limbs. Sometimes we're still buying mulch by the bag or the truckload. But, you know, that hopefully will be less and less as we hit this point, if we ever hit this point of equilibrium. But, you know, how far do we go? You know, we might have to plant a bunch more Mexican Tithonia for the intention of being a major chop and drop compost provider, you know, stink water provider or whatever. But right now, we're still trying to conquer or master wetland zone 1 here. We're still experimenting with seeing if we can be successful with these avocados from almost the driest point of the yard to the wettest point of the yard. And I think other plants will follow suit, in these age-raised wood chip beds or alternative beds. And I would love for my pawpaw experiments to turn from a 25 or 30 year experiment to something that is 100% viable for our area. I can almost guarantee that every experiment we do is not going to work. There's going to be failures. There have been tons of failures, but I've also found alternative ways, using other people's knowledge, other people's experience, like the Catlay guavas. This is round 3 with those Catlay lemon, strawberry, yellow, echo, whatever guavas. And now we've been successful. Now we want more. This is round 2 for the avocados. We have hope now versus no hope, 10 years ago. I am hopeful and really wanting to succeed with massive sweet potato production. I think the more I think about it, the more I've experienced it, trying to grow it, and it grows, it comes back, it's alive, it seems to be thriving, and we get little sweet potatoes that aren't worth harvesting. But I think the key now is probably to make sure it has a mound of loose soil so that those tubers can expand easily. I think just like carrots, you probably can't just plant those sweet potatoes in soil that becomes more dense every season without loosening it up and without fluffing it up. Maybe I'm wrong. We don't have 100% sand here. We have swamp muck, so maybe in sand or mostly sand, you don't have to do that. But, we have a lot of root density from weeds and trees and everything, and we have soil that gets harder and wetter and muckier, and it can get, I'm not going to say hard like clay, but it gets dense if you do not do anything with it. And I think carrots are the perfect thing because I failed so much or got little tiny carrots like this, and that made me do more research on sweet potatoes. And I think if you can master carrots, you should be able to master sweet potatoes. And I don't know if carrots are, I'm assuming carrots are a little bit more harder than sweet potatoes. But if you can do that, you can make those carrots happy, make them expand in the soil easily, then there should be no problem with getting big, plump sweet potatoes every year. I took a cutting of the Illinois Everbearing, another one. I'm just going to try to do a small one here with a little pot here, like a 2-inch pot or whatever these guys are. We're going to put this guy in almost 100% composted red maple from a rotted tree. All right, let's see if we can push through the bottom or get close to the bottom, pull it up a little tiny bit, compost it down, compress it down, and then put a little bit more on top or some peat moss or something. And put a tag on. And there it goes. Now we probably should just use the small tags, the stake tags that just go down there, but not sure where I left them. But if this guy does okay, we'll know what it is. Later on, we got some branches crossing each other, so that guy or this guy may come out, and we could probably take cuttings off of this guy or that guy there and get someone to show you something cool. Hey, we got another GHB avocado sprouting there. Now the jackfruit, we got, I think 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What was the last count? 8 or 9? And I'm sure, is there another one coming up? 11, right there's one. Yep, we got 11 now that I see. There's number 12 right there. Okay, we got 12 sprouting. We see progress, you know. This is neat. This is nice. It's cool. We're not just about digging in the dirt and then collecting the reward, because, you know, I may have mentioned that I might keep 1 or 2 of these and give the rest away, or I may just give all of them away once they get big enough to repot individually. Well, this is day 2 of this garden vlog video. The day's almost up. Sun's coming down somewhere back down there below the trees. Not quite dark out yet, but we just got back from Blue Star Nursery in Hawthorne, Florida, and I was planning to go there by myself when I took my kids to get their haircuts and just drop them off with Mama. But she was a little bit hesitant. You know, you're not gonna just leave the kids. I want you to stay here, you know, just in case they get rowdy or something. And I figured I'd get a Tractor Supply and the nursery and just take a little bit of time, 30, 45 minutes. And that didn't happen. I stayed, you know, for the haircuts, and this was after school, so the nursery probably closes at 5. I got there like 4:30, hung around for 5 or 10 minutes, and I did get something, but I didn't really look around the way I wanted to. To me, there's so much pressure and worry that the kids are going to stay in the car with Mama and just cause an absolute scene, or come out there and you know, it seems like the nursery people, at least one of them, really eyes the kids when they're, you know, running around and screaming and stuff, and I don't like that. And, you know, I don't want to put the nursery owner in, you know, any kind of weird position either, because, you know, they didn't really have anybody there looking around right before closing. But had I came earlier, you know, we've just had experiences with the kids just when there were customers there. So just not a good thing to do, unless your kids are so well behaved. We did get a Baldwin pear and to replace our other one with, and I know I've been talking a while about just getting some scion wood and grafting to the original rootstock or something. The local nursery has not had this pear. I've asked them several times over the last 6, 8 months, year, whatever, and they never had it. But today they had it, so I just went ahead and bought one. These are such high quality pears, soft pears. You know, this is the old Baldwin here that the boring insects killed, and this is just some root suckers that came up, and I'm sure you could graft them, but yeah, the tree is still sort of standing. So that's probably a good way to finish this 2-day garden vlog. I don't know exactly where I'm going to put that Baldwin pear. I don't think I'm going to put it right there where it was before, although that seemed like a good spot for quite a few years. The rootstock is already there. We're going to try something later on it, you know, to graft onto that original rootstock. Not sure if it'll be this coming, you know, 2025 or what, but, you know, maybe we'll put it there where we have all of our other pears, but we're going to definitely have to have 2 beds for the soft sand pear and that Baldwin pear. So we already have a rootstock that back there, plus the unknown pear, plus the other pear that we've been trying to sort of revive with the raised Edgewood chip bed, and the Harvest Queen pear. Yeah, I'm back here where all these pears are. So this is the Harvest Queen, has never flowered. That guy there, I probably forgot what that was 10 years ago. Flowers every year, never produces fruit. So it obviously needs a pollinator. This is the one that died down to the rootstock, and that's the rootstock. And this one, another one, I probably forgot what it was. And we've been trying to, revive it with this post-mycorrhizal bed. And it looks better. And, I think it may have flowered a few times. It's heavy shade, possibly too dense soil, a little bit maybe too moist. It looks like it had goats attack it, a few years ago when we had the goats. So we're kind of hoping we can just revive it when, build the bed up even higher as time goes on, and maybe that'll be a pollinator. So the biggest issue is, where are we going to find enough sunlight to keep 2 more pairs happy, plus potentially grafting onto that or taking the rootstock out of the ground and moving it to a sunnier location or in a pot until we can graft it or something in a pot. With these raised beds, we can get the roots off the ground better. And, doing the aged wood chip or mycorrhizal style beds, we can hope that this method, because it's true with avocados, we can hope this method also works with pretty much everything that you need to kind of build up off the ground or combat root rot, the bacterial root rot and stuff like that. So if that's the case, then you can go back here like wetland zone 2 where it's wet, and there are some sunny areas there. We could put, if this experiment works with not just avocados but with other things, we could put pear trees back there, more avocados or whatever. Although from a distance this stuff looks shady, but the closer you get into this open area, sort of in between the tree canopies, I guess you would say, there is a lot of sun that can come out, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, and then maybe dappled sun or shade, in the early morning, and shade, in the evening. The ultimate question I would say is, do I want more avocados there, or do I want to put my pears there, or a combination? But it's not unlimited space. It's not unlimited. Well, it's not new. It's something that we're bringing back because I enjoyed it for many years so much, and the Baldwin pear is definitely one of my favorites that I can grow here. I think that's it. Take care, guys. Until the next time.